I'm going to show you how to create a quiz on Fusion. You can create a quiz using the Create button on the left toolbar, or you can go to any file area in the system to create your quiz. So I'm going to a learning space, and I'm going to click Add, New File, and choose Form. If you already have old quizzes on the old legacy course system on Fusion, you can export those quizzes and import them here. I'll just show you an example of how that works. Click Import, browse for the zip file that contains the exported quiz, and click Import. It's that simple. So here's my quiz with all my question types in. So let's go back to my learning space. Okay, so let's create a quiz from the start. Add New File, choose Form, and then you add a file name and a form title. We have both so that you can put a long form title on your quiz, but you can of course have the same name for both. You then have the introduction section. This allows you to place not just an introduction but also learning materials into the top of your quiz. You can add text for comprehension or a video for students to watch before they answer the quiz. I'll just add a video here to demonstrate. Once you're happy with the introduction section, you have some options. The first one is submissions per person. How many times can someone submit this form? If it's for an exam, you might well limit people to just once. I'm just going to leave it as unlimited. You can limit the number of submissions overall to a particular number, so only 15 people can fill in this form, but we're not going to do that here. You can make them anonymous, but again, for a quiz you wouldn't normally do that. You can allow your students to view the results once they've submitted their quiz. You must tick here if you want to turn this form into a quiz that's self-marking. And if you want to include a text answer, which the quiz won't be able to self-mark, you can tick here to allow your students to self-mark that quiz question. There is a timer, so you can limit how long people can have to answer the quiz. And you can change things like the question colour or the background colour of any content block you have. And then you say Continue. So at the moment I have an empty quiz, there's no questions in there yet, so I need to start adding questions. I click Add Your First Question, and there's a number of question types. So I'm going to go through and create a few questions, including each of the different question types. So let's start with a single choice question. This is one where there's a list of options and only one is correct. So in this question, I want the students to identify what shape is shape D. I need the students to see an image, and I've already saved that image into the VLE, so I can go and fetch it now. I could also go and get the image on my computer using this button. So I introduce the shape. I'm going to put it in the original size so it's nice and clear, and say Continue. And I then have my options. I want students to choose from 5 options. There's only 3 boxes here, so I click on this small green plus icon to add some more options, and then I fill in the options. I identify which answer is correct, and I add the points for that answer. I can also provide feedback to the students for all of these answers, and whatever answer the student gives, that's the feedback they'll get. I can tick to make any question mandatory if I want, and for single choice questions I can choose between radio buttons and a drop-down menu, but I'll leave this with radio buttons, and create my question. So here's my first question in the list. I have some options for my question. I can insert another question after it. I can go and edit this question. I can delete it. I can clone it, really useful if you've created a particular kind of question that you're going to repeat. And I can copy my question to the question bank. Let's go and view my quiz so far. This is the introductory section and my first quiz question. You can see the timer's running, and you can see that I have a submit button at the bottom. When you finish reviewing your quiz, just click on this bar at the top to close it. And I'm ready to add the second question. Click Add Question, multiple choice this time. Again, it's going to be a picture question. I add the question, I insert the image, and scrolling down, I put in the answers. I add points to any correct answers, and again I can add feedback if I want. With a multiple choice question, it's really important that you fill in the maximum number of answers. What you don't want is for someone to be able to just tick all the answers. There are 2 correct answers in this one, so that's all I'm going to allow someone to fill in. And I go ahead and create the question. The next question is simple text. This is a self-marking simple text question. And it's a simple sum. I type in the expected answer. Now the answer should be 113 centimetres. However, I'm going to be sneaky and I'm going to expect my students to answer in metres. So it's 1.13, for which I will give them a point. And the way I let them know that I want the answer in metres is I add it here as a suffix. I type in metres, so when the students type in the box, they'll know that I'm looking for the answer in metres. And I create the question. The next type of quiz question is text input, and as I mentioned before, text input that's any more than a simple word or number cannot be self-marked in a quiz. Text questions are normally for the sort of question where you're asking for a description or an explanation. You can supply a score, but it will not be automatically marked. A student would have to go in and apply the mark themselves, or the teacher would have to go in and apply the mark. If you're doing a self-marking quiz, I would recommend that you don't use a text question. You try and rephrase the question to something that can be scored. But I'll create this question anyway. The next question is a matching question type. It's almost like a series of single choice questions within one question. I'll just fill it in so you can see how it's done. So for this, I want students to identify: is a litre a measure of volume, length or weight? The answer is volume, so I give that a point. And then I want to duplicate this with another option. This time I'm going to put in metres. This one's a measure of length, so I'll give that one the score. Duplicate again, and kilograms, which is a measure of weight, so that's where I put the score. So that's how we do a matching question. At any point in the quiz, you can create a new section using the content block. The content block has a title and an area where you can add content to split up your quiz. So here you could add another video for students to watch before they answer the next set of questions. When you've added the information in, scroll down, and you have the option to include the title in your section break or not. The default is not to show the title, but I'm going to show the title and create the question. Okay, so let's have a look at our form so far. We have the introductory video, we have a single choice question, we have a multiple choice question. I can tick 2 of these, but when I try to tick the third, it will tell me I've ticked too many. I can then put the answers for these ones in. I can put my text in, and I have my matching question. And then we have the section break, so you can see the titles shown here with the content. And then I can carry on adding more quiz questions as required. When you finish creating your questions, exit the Form Manager and it will take you back to your file area. This is my quiz here. There's a few things you need to know about quizzes. The first is that the person who creates the quiz is the only person who has access to the results. The results in forms and quizzes is very often sensitive information, and that's why it's like this. To view the results of your quiz, click on the quiz and click on the results button at the top right. All your results will be listed here. You can go and view individual results, and you can also click here to export the results, and on this page you will see a complete table of all the results. This table can be downloaded as a spreadsheet using this button, and there are some choices about what you include in your download. If you want a colleague to be able to use this quiz with their class, you should place the quiz somewhere that the colleague has access to, and the colleague should then come in here, add the quiz to their clipboard, and go to their own file area and go to the clipboard to bring that file in. As soon as they've created their own copy, that copy will be owned by them, and only they will see the results from the new copied quiz. To give students the quiz, you can leave the quiz file in a class or a learning space where the students can access it to fill it in, or you can attach it to a task list or homework. And you also have the option of using a link. If you open any quiz, go to this icon at the top left. There's a link here to this particular form. You can use that link anywhere at all, and when the student follows the link, they will come to the VLE and they will have to log in if they're not logged in already. Only people who are logged into Fusion can complete a quiz. So that's how to create a quiz in Fusion.